And I'm happy to introduce our fourth and final lecture for this season or this semester. Today we have Victory Lee speaking. She is the CEO and the founder of the Victory Lee Foundation. She runs several community gardens here in Oakland and throughout the Bay Area. I found this wonderful speaker by happenstance and invited her to come out because we were running this lecture series, and she was gracious enough to come and share some vegetables, share her skill, share her knowledge, and today she'll speak with all of you. I want to thank you all for coming out today. This is our fourth lecture, and we're really happy to have you. We're really happy that you guys are excited about organic foods. And with that, I will hand it off to Victory.
Thanks, Jamil. I've just had the pleasure of working with Jamil and Regina and Charles and Ching in making your stone soup that you're enjoying. I hope it's okay. It's sourced from our organic gardens, including one that is here on campus over at the administration building. So we had a lot of fun putting that together for you. Victory, I want to tell you a little bit about Victory Garden Foundation and what I hope to speak with you about today. Our foundation was founded in 2009 after about a year of me gardening at home and having my neighbors come by asking about food that I'm growing and swearing they couldn't grow any. And I'm going, yes you can, and decided to have a class in my backyard. And from there, the foundation sprung up. And we've been working with individuals with their background gardens, as well as sponsoring and managing community gardens here in Oakland. I think we have about 5 gardens, 6, we have a new one coming in. Lake Merritt, North Oakland, Fruitville, which is our newest one, and also a school, Franklin Elementary in East Oakland on the lower side of Lake Merritt. So our mission is really simple. We want everyone growing food at home and learning how to do that, whether it's in a pot or a plot. And we do that by encouraging, educating, and hopefully inspiring and definitely advocating for people to grow food at home. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the policies that are changing here in Oakland and at the state, but there are some there are some changes now that are going to allow us all to grow food at home and be able to sell that food so that we have sustainable food. I try to tell people, you know, to gauge it, if you spend $1, you should get $25 worth of food. So this shouldn't be an expensive proposition, but it should be something that's fun, although gardening is hard work, but we can make it fun. But not spending a lot of money, and there's not necessary to do that. And today, that's one of the things I want to talk about. So this is what we're going to be up to over the next 30 minutes or so. Giving you some background, how many have been to any of the other series? Excellent. So you all know that there's been a series on a lecture on food systems and global warming. There's been a lecture on organic food and your health. I believe the nutritionist was here talking with you about that, as well as urban farming and food justice. Today we're going to talk about the possibilities of you getting organic food, such as what you're getting right now, which really costs us nothing to make. When you leave here today, I want you to have some action plans. Now, I want you just to have a bunch of words for me and questions left over, but I want you to create an action plan. And as I'm speaking, and as you hear from others that are here today, jot down some notes and indicate where you might do some of these things that are listed, whether it be at home, where you work, where you play, where you learn, like here at Laney College. And that's going to really start to put together your action plan. Let's back up a little bit and talk about why we're really talking about organic food. There's a problem. What's the problem? If I were to ask anyone in here, what do you think the problem is in us getting organic food, what might you say? Anyone?
Accessibility, too expensive.
Too expensive, accessibility, yes?
Why?
Why? Absolutely. Over here as well, Lisa. A document, thank you. And all those are very good questions and challenges, because the access to organic food is not that easy because it's expensive. Here at the college, I'm not sure where your sources of foods are for maybe the bistro, but in order to make sure that it's organic, the question is always going to be, how much is that going to cost us? Because less than 1% of our food supply is coming from organic farmers. That's crazy. So that's what raises the price, but it doesn't have to, because when all of you start to get involved and make this more of a mission, then people start listening and finding a way to make sure that it's not that expensive. And we'll talk a little bit about those solutions. So social justice is part of a problem, and I would be remiss if I didn't say this now before we even go on. We're looking in the newspaper and we're seeing all kinds of social injustice. And this is part of access to our food, access to good food. And it's just very important that we address all of these issues and angles from a holistic point of view, and not just leave food dangling out there by itself, because that's not the only thing. We're more than just food. Some of us eat to live, some of us live to eat, but we're more than just the food. And of course, economics. So we're going to go through this process. I'm not going to read. You'll all, by the way, receive a copy of this lecture, these slides. The end product, of course, is to improve the access to the food, improve how much is it going to cost, and where are those opportunities. Everyone starting right at home, or where you work, or where you play, or where you learn. Today, I wasn't expecting to do this, but I made stone soup for you. I was hoping more of the students would get involved, and maybe next time you will, now that you've tried it. And it only took us about an hour and a half to make a big, huge pot, which you all saw that. And it's out of the garden, and that includes harvesting from the garden, and we brought in some other sources as well. But start right where you are. Think about how you're eating. Can you eat more organic foods? If you're not eating them, can you find them and it not be so expensive? There's another document that I don't know if it went out to you called The Dirty Dozen. And it lists all of those fruits and vegetables that you really shouldn't eat unless they are organic. So be sure that you've signed in before you leave so you'll get that document. Because you don't have to eat everything that's organic. There are just some foods that it's better that you have organic than not. And if you think about it, if pesticides are being used, which fruits and vegetables might you want to steer away from if they're not organic? Those that have a soft outside where pesticides could seep in, strawberries, for example. What about an orange? Organic or non-organic? Non-organic, because you're not going to eat the rind. Now, if you're going to use the rind for a fancy meal where you shave off the skin, then you probably want to get an organic orange. So think about that, what you're eating to begin with, the foremost. And then engage others. I'm hoping that everyone here gets to know at least one other person that they didn't know before they came in here, to share some conversation and discussions about the benefits and the possibilities of your organic foods. The third thing that I look to lump in all of these opportunities is if we're eating better, if we're living better, maybe we're going to live longer. And we have a program called our Longevity Community where there are hot spots throughout the world where people consistently live to be 100 years old and more. It's normal. Here in our country, that's not normal. There's one city in Orange County, I can't think of the name of it right now, but that's the only one I'm aware of in the United States where people consistently live to be 100 years old and more because they follow some principles. And one of those principles involves nutrition, and that's eating good food, getting rid of the processed foods and all that. I won't go over that. I'm sure you heard that from the nutritionists. But bringing in those organics also help. And even especially if you grow it at home, because the other part of this is eating from a local source. You don't want to get your food from, 8,000, 10,000 miles away if you can get it under 100 and even shopping in your backyard, because the nutritious value of those foods are going to deplete the longer they're off their vine. So these are some things that you would do to ensure that you're living in a manner that's going to help you succeed. It's not just the longevity, how many years you live, but what are you going to have as a quality of that? So purpose and connection, relaxation, nutrition, and movement. All of those things we talk about, and we probably do many of them. But this is just to say, here's a constructive way around what we do in the community. And of course, when we think of nutrition, we're also thinking organic. Before we make changes, we need to know what we're changing from. So what's the conventional agriculture? What's our current food system today? Is it a food system that is geared to ensure that individuals are living healthy? Or is it a food system that's designed to make money? Which one? There you go. So how many of us eat money for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? I know I don't. I don't even have enough to even try it. So knowing what the problem is, so everyone understand what our conventional agriculture system is all about and why we're saying this is not the way to go. Pesticides being used, getting into the water supply, pesticides being used, getting into our bodies directly just from foods being packaged. What are those problems? And any solution that we need to find, we must understand the problem. So I'm only bringing this up to emphasize that because that's one of the pieces. So I'm challenging all of you to do some more research and find out, why. This is a big reason, but there are some other reasons involved. And remember, we talked about earlier and at a previous lecture about social justice, food sovereignty, food security. So there's a lot more. And the more you know about what's happening today, the more you can ask the why questions and answer those why questions, and then start to move on to building solutions. I talked about the dirty dozen earlier. At home, that's where you start. Commit to yourself that I'm not eating any more of the foods that have pesticides. How many people know how to go into a grocery store and identify food that is organic or not without a sign being presented to you? I'm going to tell you, because that's real important. If it doesn't have a 9 on the label on that food, the little labels on the apples that you hate because you can't get off and you end up digging your nail in it and there's a hole in your apple? Well, that label has a number. It begins with a number. 9 is what you should look for. That's organic. Anything under that is not organic. What do we mean by organic? Pesticides are not being used, so they're being grown with natural fertilizers. They're being grown maybe with companion planting, so there are fewer bugs or pests. And I think maybe that was talked about at one of your other lectures. But be sure you know what organic means. And I don't have that list of all the numbers, because from 4 to 9, for example, there's different levels of how poison it is until you get to the 9. So I'll make sure that's in the package that gets sent to you. Yes?
Is this only on fruit or is it?
All of your fruit and vegetables, your fresh produce, is under this system. And so you will get the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. So that list is also going to help you find those vegetables and fruits that we recommend that you eat organically. 15 of them versus the Dirty Dozen that we don't want you to eat anything other than organic. Grow your food at home. How many have space to grow food at home? Oh, that's pretty good. How many don't know that they have space to grow food at home? So everyone else that didn't raise your hand at first, you absolutely know you cannot grow your food at home. Is that right? Okay. Do you have a pot? Do you have windows in your home? Do you have a windowsill? Yes? Anyone who says no to any of those, raise your hand. Okay, in the back. No pot? No window? No window. You live on a boat? That's even better. You have a deck. All righty. Okay, so we're all good. Everyone in here can grow their food at home. It doesn't have to be a big old community garden or plot or backyard. If you have a pot and do nothing else but to grow herbs so that you can season your food. Some of the herbs are medicinal that will help you in how you're living and keep your immune system, for example, in good shape, or your digestive system. So you can grow herbs all year round. I grow basil indoors all year round. And it's on a north window when our garden wisdom says we need a south window. Well, that's not always true. The thing is, you just try it and see what you're going to get. So, everybody now I know can grow something at home, right? How many? Let's ask again. How many can grow something at home? I love it. All right. And then, of course, composting. We'll start composting here today with your cups and any foods that are left over and so on. So that's another way that you can really start the possibilities, because in that compost, even at home, in a little pot, can add to your pot of herbs and keep it going. So let's talk about work possibilities. What I think is important about bringing up organic foods at work is because when we're working, we spend a lot of time at that job. And many of us start eating incorrectly because we're working, and it shouldn't be that way. I can tell you from personal experience, when I was doing 9 to 5, I ate just terribly, and I know better. But it was easy to go get something, at the cafeteria that's not fresh and organic, so I don't have to wait in a long line because I have to hurry up and get back to work. And just ignoring my body. Well, I had to stop that. And if any of you are doing that, stop and think. This could be harmful in the long run. But there's ways you can change that. What are those possibilities? Do you have a cafeteria at work that's not serving organic foods? You can start talking to the chef. You can get your other coworkers together and petition to say we want better food. Those snack boxes, what are they called? The vending machines. They have healthy food that could be put in there now. So petition for those to change. So there's a lot. Just start thinking about where you're going to get your food and how you're going to get your food. And you should be eating well at work. If you're eating well at home, that should carry over to work as well. Also, looking at careers. You may decide you want to go into a particular career that will help you help others as far as obtaining and having access to organic food. Consider those things as well. And then, of course, volunteering and accepting interns. There are possibilities. Where you play. How many go to the park at least once a week? That's not bad. How many think they'll start going to the park at least once a week? Because we need our parks to change as well. And if they're not going to change if you're not going to them. We need to have, those parks so that all of us are able to use them. And we can, while we're playing over at the park, whether you're playing basketball or whatever, and a good 3-on-3 game, stop over at the garden, get some mint, pump you up, have some energy to go to the next round. I got next. So it really makes sense to have food where you play. So think about that. Go to the parks that's close to where you're living and where you work, and see what's there. What are the possibilities? We have some more information to give to you about that, where you can help. We're working with the City of Oakland, for example, to open up more parks to allow more food to be grown on the parks and not just at the closed community gardens where people have their plots for years, 10 years or more, to the point that they're even putting it in their will to will their plot to some family member when they die. It's ridiculous. That's not access, so we need your help. And if you don't go to the parks, then you won't know where you can help. So we need you to do that. Wherever you go to restaurants, ask them if they're serving organic food. Chefs are usually happy to answer your questions. Now, if you get a grumpy chef, you may not want to go back there anymore. But, ask if they're using organics. And their prices shouldn't go sky high because of that. And especially if more of us are asking. When you go to events, the Warriors, they didn't have good healthy food when I first came into this area, but working with Kaiser Permanente, which I'm retired from, we talked to the Warriors because we were going to sponsor them and asked for them to start providing some healthy options. And it had to have follow some guidelines and requirements. Nothing could have more than 40% carbs or 40 milligrams of carbs and a few other things. But now they're selling a lot of healthy items now. So you can make that change. You can cause the change. And of course, learning from nature. Being out in the park, walking around, looking. There's a lot of food you've been walking past and didn't even know it. Rosemary, lavender, fennel, nasturtiums. Like the list goes on, that just are out there growing in the public. I found a place, and I'm not telling anyone, where I find white sage growing, but that's, I'm not telling. Right here in Laney, guess what? You have organic gardens here. The soup we source from one of the gardens over at the administration building. So it's all around you. Be sure to look for it. Public parks. How many's been out to Lake Merritt? Okay, everyone, go to Lake Merritt. It's down the street, over on the side, where there's the garden, where the sailboat house is, and I think it's kind of fenced in for renovation. But go over there, and right across from there are the gardens at Lake Merritt, which has an edible garden, along with a lot of other great stuff. You can go out there and study, have lunch, meditate, just chill. And you'll just love it for being out there. And then go take a run and come back and do it again. Learning possibilities. Right here where we are in this space is an excellent place to start. You have a number of classes. You can just imagine, someone mentioned to me earlier about a chemistry project in lab to go in the garden. Everything you're learning can be tied to the garden and organic food, growing organic food. Think about it. Be innovative. Went the wrong way. Come on. Okay, so I want to wrap up. I have a lot more to say, but we don't have the time. But I'm going to give you a lot more information. You'll receive it via email. And before I open up for other questions, I want to show you what I've been saying is right here among you. The possibilities are real. There's so much that you can do to bring that organic food to you and to others. Victory Garden Foundation is founded in the spirit of Victory Gardens from the 1940s, when all of us were growing food. And I grew up in a Victory Garden. Our neighbors, and we shared our produce, and we helped each other in growing our foods. So here's about sharing, and here's about the possibilities. I hope I don't miss anyone, but I have Dennis and Adriana from Mandela Food Cooperative, if you'd stand up. That's a possibility. That's where you can purchase organic foods. That's where you can help the community. That's where you can also learn. There's jobs, careers involved. As a cooperative, talk with them after we leave. When we head out, we're going to jet out so you can, the next class can come in. But so you can speak to those folks outside about those possibilities. And then I have Wanda Stewart from Obsidian Transformation. Stand up, Wanda, please. She has a garden that's amazing at her home. And she has chickens and just all sorts of stuff. And she's a possibility for letting you see how you can get involved and do something at home. And if you don't have the space at home, there are other people that you can work with at their homes. And we have Gail Myers. Stand up, Gail. Gail is with Farms to Grow. And Gail has been working with farmers markets and black farmers, bringing farmers markets to the community and providing the possibilities that organic foods are not all that expensive. So this is one possibility for purchasing at a farmer's market. And I believe Saturday is the first day for harvest boxes. Who ever heard of a harvest box for $10 full of good old organic food compared to some of the cooperatives and associations that you can only buy a $25 box of organic foods. So please talk with Gail. And there's one of your lecturers up there, Miss Kelly Carlisle. Woo-hoo. She's doing amazing work with children. And if you want to learn about gardening, about working with children, contact Kelly. And all of these folks that I've mentioned already have been involved with gardening and can help you and talk to you about organics and accessibility. Did I miss anyone that's here that I know is a possibility? Everyone should have raised their hands when I said that, because you are a possibility. All right. Any questions? Yes.
I was just going to say, my name is Marley, and this is Oscar here, and we took on restoring the Laney Garden. There's a part just for students, and it's kind of just been hanging out. So if anyone really is interested in having a plot or growing communally, we're creating a curriculum and a program, and we're really open to having way more students get involved. So please talk to us if you're interested.
And on that too, here at Laney, Dr. Charles Neal, your sustainability director, is working on starting a sustainability club. And you all are all invited and probably will receive invitations pretty soon to join that club, which will extend this lecture series to some real hands-on actionable things. And that's another reason why you have that sheet to say, here's what I'm going to do. If it's just one check on here, that's all we want you to do to start. And the presentation that you'll receive are going to show you some more of the resources and how you can access good organic foods and where they are. So I won't go through these now. Any other questions? Yes.
If it says certified organic, like at the farmer's market or in Berkeley Bowl, isn't that good enough? Do we still need to look for the number 9?
If it says certified organic, is it enough to be?
To not have to search for that number you mentioned.
Yes. Right.
It is.
Yes.
So if it says organic or certified organic.
At the farmer's market,
Yeah.
if it's in a regular grocery store somewhere, no, I wouldn't go for that. I want to see the label.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Can I ask that?
Yes.
It's always good to ask. I mean, I know places like Safeway, it might be a task to ask somebody if they know if it's organic or not, but at our store, Mandela Foods in West Oakland, we encourage people to ask them, because they may not have a sticker. We don't want to discourage you from not buying it when it is organic.
Everything in that store is organic.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No. So we have some mango, some pineapple, some things that are really hard or really, really expensive for us to source organically, so we won't. Because we don't want to charge you $9 for a pineapple. And that's the true cost. But some people will do it and others will just circumvent you and won't tell you the difference. So it's always good to look for the number, and if you don't see a number and it seems ambiguous, ask. Because that'll kind of pressure them to get their act together. You know,
Maybe
you have to
something
start
that
doing
puts pressure on the agricultural industry to stop using pesticides altogether.
Well, that's what we're talking about today. You are the possibilities. Join the Sustainability Club. Get involved with one of the organizations, my organizations, or any of the others, so that you can get involved in those solutions, making them happen.
Really protesting, but using your dollar to raise your voice. Don't buy it. It's pesticide, just don't buy it. You know, if you can afford to buy the organic option, buy it. But if you don't have access to, organic strawberries, then you don't buy the strawberries.
Yeah. You can do without some things. You're going to have to change your habits, like anything new or any change. There's going to be some changeable actions that you'll need to take. We're also creating a map that will make sure you have access to where the gardens are. Not just community gardens, but individuals' gardens who wouldn't mind you coming by to help garden and also to be able to harvest from those gardens. Yes?
What did you say that you could get the harvest box?
Harvest box? The harvest box are at,
Community Farmers Market is 5316 Telegraph Avenue. And Saturday pickup box times are 12 to 2. You can go to farmsgrow.com website and order your box. You can prepay on the website. And there's still time to actually order it. You can do it today for Saturday. If not, you can order for next week.
What was that website?
farmsgrow.com, FARMS,
An address.
5316.
and you'll have that in your package. It's listed as well. You'll get an email by tomorrow, I believe. Right, Jamil?
Yes.
Okay. And also, we work on policies. We're talking about, change and how to make sure that, the grocers are labeling or, tell you that food is organic or not, or to carry more organic. Sometimes it just takes putting pressure on the policymakers. And there's many ways you can get involved. And I've also included some of those that I'm involved with and would love to have you all come in and work to make some changes through those other groups. Okay? Any more questions? I saw another hand somewhere.
Pesticide.
What's wrong with eating it? What's wrong with eating arsenic? It might taste good, but you'll be dying eating it. Pesticides are not safe. They are poison. They're toxic. So we don't want to put a lot of that in our bodies. And it's not just pesticides. I got to tell you, when I'm talking about just eating organic food, I mean to reduce the amount of processed foods that you're eating as well. Because those processed foods, in order to preserve them, have this brilliant color and all that, has some things in there that we really don't want to eat. Thank you all for being here. I enjoyed talking with you, and if you have any more questions, let me know.